Okay, I'm trying to get Laura to join. Oh, and
Yep.
there she is. Good
Good
morning.
morning. How are you?
I'm okay. A little bit tired, but as you can tell.
It's the collective norm, I think, at the moment, isn't it? I don't know about anybody else. I feel quite battered this year, actually. I think,
I'm gonna turn my volume up a little bit. Okay.
yeah, very tired. I think at the moment, I think people are really sort of suffering, particularly sort of spiritual people, sort of dealing with huge energy shifts. I don't know about anybody else. I don't know how you're feeling, but I feel knackered a lot of the time. Very, very tired. And actually,
I really look tired today.
I've got this
I
wonderful
thought I
light.
looked okay, but now I have to admit that I really don't look too great today.
I've got this
No,
amazing
I
light.
haven't been sleeping well at all. I've been having very light sleep, interrupted sleep, just really strange, like a strange sleep pattern for some reason. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I find that I've had a lot of sort of in lockdown, quite a lot of nightmares that all kind of followed the same kind of rhetoric and ideology, and it felt almost like um, being planted in a film as opposed to necessarily something that was to do with me or things that I was fearful of or thinking about, which was kind of quite weird. And I have felt really this year that sort of quite a lot of spiritual attack, I think would probably be the best way of saying it. I think I spoke to you about it, Deborah, about entities being in rooms and things. And I had that sort of last year was a lot of that going on. I think since sort of maybe the spring that has kind of tempered off and has gone away. But there's a lot going on, an awful lot going on. I mean, what are you experiencing at the moment? Obviously, we're going to do a bit of a chat about, what's going on in the collective. I think now's a very good time. How have you been?
Yeah. It's definitely been a challenging year. And like, I feel for me personally that a lot of shadow stuff came up that needed to be
Mm.
purged. And like for me, it was this tipping point of having to decide, like, am I gonna do this and fully just like go for this and trust the whole process and just go with whatever presents itself, or am I going to be scared and then I'm going to block myself, but that's not going to be good because then you're just making it worse. You're making this whole process
Yeah,
worse.
I had the same thing. Huge amounts of stuff come up. I mean, I had a nervous breakdown when I was 15, and after I had it, I had like amnesia from the stress. And I've had some boxes, like I call them boxes in my attic, that suddenly kind of come back into the light. And I had some stuff that I hadn't known existed, sort of come up about sort of March, May of last year. And since that period of time, I've been dealing with the sort of fallout of this new box of crap in the top of my attic full of stuff that I didn't know existed. So yeah, it's so much shadow work, so much stuff happening this year. And like you say, I think, obviously, I coach clients with mental health. I think I always sort of say to people generally, the we think that we're being chased by demons, and often when you turn and face them, they're just shadows on the wall. And when you face them, it's much easier to deal with them than running from this thing that you perceive to be a bigger, more dangerous, more horrendous thing. And actually the running away is more painful and more time consuming and more exhausting than turning around and facing it and challenging the thing that you're running from. But to do that is terrifying. So I understand why people don't want to do shadow work. To deal with your shadow self is quite um challenging and quite confronting, particularly if you've been through a lot of really bad stuff. I think that, to recognize some of, because a lot of my trauma and things I've gone through in my childhood had made me a very horrible person, because it had thrown me into sort of being somebody who was very reactive and very much sitting in the shadow self quite a lot of the time, because that was like my protective stance. And actually, to recognize that you know, some of your behaviors are not very nice and that you're not very nice a lot of the time. It's quite confronting, you know, because nobody wants to sort of think, you know, I'm not very nice. And I think that a lot of people don't really want to work with the shadow self a lot of the time because they're frightened about what they might find. They're frightened about who they may find at the end of it. But I think there's nothing more dangerous as somebody who isn't aware that they have a shadow self, because that can come out like in a second, and they don't know how to deal with that side of themselves, or how to kind of you know, work with that energy, and how to calm the beast, as it were. You know, thinking sort of psychologically. But I'm glad you've said that, because this year has been a really brutal one for me, actually, to be honest. And I'd sort of gotten to a point in my sort of healing and done so much work on myself over the last sort of 18 years. And I thought, you know, that's cool. I'm where I'm at. And I'd become very sort of settled where I was in my spiritual evolution and in my
Same thing over here.
yeah, you know, I was like, I'm it, you know, and I'm teaching other people. So it's like a real kind of kick up the arse for the guru to suddenly be like, oh shit, you know, I need to, I'm still broken, you know. But you know,
Yeah,
that is, well,
I'm still broken. That's hilarious. But that's exactly, yeah, that especially these last couple of weeks, that's what's been coming up for me.
yeah,
That all this stuff that I thought I was healed
oh,
from suddenly came up, but it's because of all these energetic shifts that we've been going through. And suddenly, this stuff that I had already archived and filed somewhere, all of a sudden it's there again. It's like I just started offering coaching sessions too, like intuitive development sessions. And like the first client that I had, I was like, oh, I'm good at this. I'm good at helping people, blah, blah, blah. And then the morning before the session, I had this fear come over me like, oh, well, how am I going to do this? I don't know what I'm talking about, blah, 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 like
yeah,
these voices. And I'm like, had to check myself and be like, what am I saying? I know exactly what I'm talking about. I've been through a whole lot of stuff. I'm the perfect person to do this. But this like worthiness wound
oh,
of not feeling worthy enough
yeah,
came popping up. But then, of course, after the session, it went great. And then I had more people request sessions, and it's been going smooth. And it was just that first session, like this old wound came up, I guess, that I had to break through.
yeah,
So a lot of that, yeah, people think, oh, I'm on a spiritual awakening journey. It's going to be fun. It's going to be nice. It's going to be rainbows. It's going to be dancing naked in a forest or something. But it's all the shadow stuff
yeah.
that's going to come up because you need to transmute it. You need to heal it and turn it into light.
Yeah, I mean, amen to that. I mean, it's nice because I'm already in it. You know, I'm coaching people. I deal with this, and I think the problem is kind of when you sort of go into that, no matter how you try not to sort of position yourself as a guru, you end up kind of being positioned as one, as somebody that people come to. You know, I don't like the word guru, but you know, like that being positioned as somebody that people come to when they're suffering, that is a pillar of strength and a font of knowledge. And that can be really difficult. I found, you know, at the beginning of lockdown, some of this stuff started to happen. So sort of March last year, some of this stuff sort of cropped up for me, and I was just doing almost toxic positivity at the time. I was like, right, we're just going to do it. We're going to get through it. We're going to focus on the good stuff. I'm going to be super, you know, I've got time now. You know, I was teaching from home, so it wasn't sort of, and I was still sort of seeing clients, but it was very relaxed, kind of, you know, really workload for me because I wasn't traveling, wasn't doing anything. So that kind of I've had hours added to my week. And I thought, you know, I'm just going to be super productive. I'm going to finish my book. I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep doing events online so people can access the care and the love that they need. And I got kind of a bit stuck into kind of toxic positivity. And then I suddenly realized, like, wow, I'm totally burnt out. You know, I was like going for run. I'm not a runner. I weight lift. But I was running because there wasn't, the gyms weren't open and stuff. So it was just like cortisol. And then I got to about sort of June and I started getting flashbacks from some stuff that happened to me in my childhood that was this box that I thought was closed. And then I was just like, shit, everything's gone to hell in a handbasket. And the problem is that when you position yourself as being somebody who like leads other people in their healing, it's very difficult actually to turn around and be vulnerable. Can't even say the word, it's that bad. You know, to be vulnerable and to say to people, actually, this stuff has cropped up for me. And I haven't told anybody about it, because until now, just outing myself live on an Instagram, that's how I do things. But you know, you think you don't want to sort of sometimes, because I feel sometimes to say to your clients, yeah, I'm a bit of a mess right now as well, although that brings some sort of like humanity to it, I felt in the time I was like, is that going to, like, I don't want my clients to worry about me, for one. You know, I also don't want them to think, you know, I can't go and talk to Laura today, or I shouldn't go and talk to Laura today because she's got her own stuff going on. That's not what our relationship is about. But when I'm dealing, a lot of people that I'm working with are empaths. A lot of people that I'm working with are very, very empathic and very, very aware. And they have grown up in sort of, you know, I do a lot with narcissist recovery. And so a lot of these people have grown up with narcissists who have trained their children to always think about the other and never think about the self.
Yeah.
So that's a really difficult place to be. But for me, like you say, opening up this box, you know, for me, learning to be vulnerable is something that has been part of my path this year. And also learning that it's okay to accept help from other people, that I don't have to be this person who is got it all together and knows everything, and that's fixed and I'm here now. And it's been a hell of a journey this year, because it, like you say, you sort of, your whole kind of, I mean, it's very kind of triggering for the ego. And I try and kind of keep ego out of it. I try and stay as humble as possible, but it's very difficult. I don't like it when people are like, oh, you know, I had a client the other day telling me how fabulous I was. And I was just like, okay, that's enough now. You know, but it is very difficult, because as much as you are doing something for somebody else and you're not in the realm, if you see what I mean, of their healing, you're also completely knee deep in the whole process. And as much as I'm like, it's not about me, it is also still about me. I mean, I don't know how you find with your clients, but often the universe gives me people to work with on the things that I need to work on. And this was like the box that opened up. Last year I was working with two people that had suffered from the same thing in childhood. And then I got this flashback back, and it was the same thing that I was working with these people. And I wasn't even aware when I started working with them that was what was going to come up, because I'd blocked it out. So the universe is very interesting, I find. Do you find that with your clients? Are you getting people that...
Yeah, now with the coaching, I had something come up, a past life memory. Well, because I'm an Akashic Records reader. So sometimes when something comes up, I go into my own Akashic Records, and when I feel it's time for a new chapter, that something wants to be revealed, I'll go in there. And yeah, it's still difficult to talk about it, but I saw some stuff that was just really hard. Okay, yeah. No crying, but it was really hard to deal with, and I'm still processing it. And right, like 2 days after I saw all that stuff, like past life memories, but they were memories that I was still carrying in this life with me, and they formed some kind of a block. And they also came back in previous relationships and stuff. So it's like a snowball effect. The one thing triggered another thing, and then all these shadows came popping up that I thought were all healed and stuff. And then this client contacts me with exactly the same issue, and I coach her. And as I'm coaching her, I'm basically handing myself the solution of what I needed to hear. So I'm coaching her and myself at the same time.
I have the exact same thing, and it's like this weird sort of collective leveling up, where the universe kind of like is like, hey, this is the thing you need to be working on. But for me, I'm like the fixer, you know. I fix people, I go around fixing everyone. And sometimes I'm talking and I'm just like having an out of body experience, sort of talking to my clients. Sometimes I'm like, this isn't even for them, Laurie, this is for you. Like, you know, and it's this weird sort of sensory sort of third person ship that kind of steps out, and you're like watching me have this conversation with somebody, and I'm like, who are you giving this advice to? Is this for them or for you?
Yeah.
And it's this weird.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me.
I'm glad it's not
And
just
with the readings too, I have the same thing happen with the Akashic Records readings. Then somebody will contact me and they'll be like, okay, I want an Akashic Records reading of my soul history, my soul mission, and all this information comes through that's also valuable for
mm.
me. That's new information that I didn't know so I'm giving them something, but they're also giving me something in return.
Yeah, I always sort of see, my clients are like, they gush over you and they're like, oh, you're so helpful. And it's like, actually, like you're helping me as much, it's a very weird sort of relationship. But I think, this year has been, well, I mean, God, what a year. I think that,
Yeah.
there's so much for me. I mean, talking about kind of this year specifically, obviously since we had, I think the last time I spoke to you was just before the Great Conjunction. I think we looked at each other maybe November.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, we were sort of talking, we did touch on that, we were talking mainly sort of about Akashic Records, but we talked about the sort of conjunction. We were thinking about where things were going to go. And both of us could be like, some stuff's going to go down. And it's like,
And it's not over. I feel like now we're approaching this point, this climax point where stuff is going to just blow up.
oh yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean in a bad way. It means that a lot of people's eyes are going to open.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like from now till the end of the year, a lot of people's eyes are going to open and it's going to look chaotic, but it's not a bad thing necessarily, because out of the chaos, something new can emerge.
Yeah, I mean,
And
order from
people
chaos,
can shift their ideas, and by things staying the same, nobody's going to shift or change if things always stay the same. Sometimes people need a rude awakening, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you do tarot. I do tarot, and I keep thinking of the Tower card. And the beauty of it, I've always found with tarot that it's like a story. I mean, it is a story, but with the major arcana. But for me, I'm an Aquarius, and my card in tarot is the Star card. And the Star card is also known as like the wish card, like the sort of opportunity for manifestation, which I find is really interesting because, one, I'm an Aquarius, and two, we're into the age of Aquarius. And then we're also looking at what comes in the tarot is the Tower comes, and the next card after that is the Star card. And the Tower card is this horrific kind of image of a tower being struck by lightning and people falling out of the tower, and the kind of the aftermath of that. And when you're looking at it, if you're not a tarot reader, if you look at the card, it's like when people get panicked about the death card and stuff. If you look at the Tower card, it's one of the sort of worst cards to get in tarot. However, this card is where you've been holding on to a system or an ideology that doesn't serve you. And so something's come in to shake shit up, get rid of it, and the new stuff can come after that. After the Tower, then steps in the Star, which is the card for the Aquarius. And so this is something that's just been playing in my head every time I get that feeling of fear of like everything is going to hell in a handbasket, what the hell is going on? And I think it's just this other energy keeps saying to me, remember the tarot cards, remember tarot, because I'm a tarot reader, remember the tarot, remember that the Tower is followed by the Star card. And the Star card for me is like the age of Aquarius, the ushering in of all of the beautiful, positive manifestations that Aquarius represents. And Aquarius represents that higher order thinking, that utopian idea of philanthropy and I can't think what the word is, but thinking about other people more than you think about yourself, and that's beautiful. And if you said to people, the problem is a lot of people aren't aware that we're all one and that the light wins. So at the moment, in this really horrible, terrifying kind of thing that we're at the moment, which looks like we're heading towards a dystopia, all people can kind of think about is that we've got this dystopia coming and the darkness is winning. If you're not somebody who's tapped into the collective and aware of what we are as, this multi-headed thing of collective energy, as opposed to me, Laura, individual, it must be terrifying. And I must say, even me, who's been working with all this stuff, I've found myself dipping into my belly. I mean, we've had a few conversations on Instagram where you're like, wow, I'm dipping right down into the root of fear and toxicity, and of being like, almost needing to talk to somebody else who's on the wavelength to just be like, we're going to win, aren't we? It's going to be okay, isn't it? Like, and then you talk to somebody who's also on the, the wavelength, and then they're like, yeah, no, don't worry, I've been feeling that too. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, but it's very difficult, I think, at the moment. I mean, what have you kind of been experiencing? I know we've sort of talked privately, but
Yeah, I've never really felt like that we're not going to win. I've always been confident that light is winning, because darkness can only, like, we're seeing this darkness now. I've told you this. It's like shining a flashlight on the ground. You're walking in the forest, you have a flashlight, and you start shining this flashlight so you can see. What happens, because all the light is coming in so that you can see what's going on. You see all these bugs crawling away. They see the light and they freak out and they crawl away. That's the reaction to more light coming in. This light is coming into the planet, so all this dark stuff is being exposed. And it's not that now we live in chaotic dark times. Now it's coming up to the surface, it's being exposed. It's always been like this. There's always been child abduction. There's always been pedophilia. There's always been all this scandalous stuff going on. Nobody's ever said anything about it. It was ignored. Everyone pretended like nothing was happening because it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to look at it. But now, because all this light is coming in, it's coming up to the surface, and suddenly everyone's talking about it because there is enough light now for it to be exposed. So I'm like, okay, grab some popcorn, just watch it all unfold, and have faith that this is all in divine order. This is the way it's supposed to play out. And I've always kind of had that feeling, but there are people, and they come to me and they're like, what is going on? This is chaos. Like friends that are newly awakened or almost awakened, and they're like, how can you be so calm? You see what's going on? I'm like, I see what's going on, but the thing is, all of this is going on, and now you can choose how you react to this. You can stay calm and choose how you respond and be responsible for how you live your life in this crazy time. Or you can let other people determine how you are supposed to react. You could watch the news and get influenced by all the stuff that you see that people are telling you that you should do, that you should feel, how you should act.
Yeah.
So it's all up to you. And if everyone starts doing that for themselves, determine how they can live their life, no matter what's going on around you, you can always decide how you react to what's going on.
Yeah.
And if we all start doing that, then, but that's the thing, most people don't think that they can actually choose how they react to things that happen to them.
I completely agree. I think something that's happening as well, I mean, I think I just posted a TikTok on it last night, is that I don't think people are aware of the kind of collective manipulation that is used with mainstream media, and things like that. Obviously I teach law of attraction, and the more, it's called programming for a reason. You watch the television, they're programming what your thoughts are, they're programming what your vibration is, they're programming what you're frightened about, what you're fearful of. I mean, I never watched the news, and I think that at the beginning of the lockdown, they created this feeling that if you're not watching the news, something it's really important that you've got to watch the news, because they're changing the rules so quickly that if you're not watching, the next day you could go out and you could get arrested for not wearing a mask or wearing a mask, or you know what I mean? And I was like, this is like some weird bloody psychological torture, as what's being done with this sort of, like, I don't know what the rules are. The rules are changing every 2 minutes. It's just, so I started watching the news. This was about sort of March of last year. And I had, in a way, yeah, I had to, because I didn't know it. As a teacher, I don't know, am I going into work? Am I not going into work? What's happening with the lockdown? Now, I didn't really need to, but I kind of got a bit tricked, I think, in that moment. Started watching the news a little bit, and God, I was about 5 days in, and I was like, wow, my mind has been completely melted. And
Mhm.
I had been programmed. I was terrified. I was thinking, yeah, but by the time we get to Christmas, it would be lucky if we were all still alive. You know, and this kind of really heavy, nasty, black energy that had kind of
Yeah.
like a parasite. It goes in you and sets up inside, and it grows, and it pulls all this other shit that you didn't even know kind of into it. And I was like, ugh, I need to cut that out. So I did, you know, and I think that something really important is that at the moment people are not really hugely aware, I don't think, about the power, like you say, they're not aware of the power of themselves,
Mhm.
the power of your own sovereignty, the power of your own the power of your mind, the power of your own individual energy as being like a little human battery walking around. You know, I don't think people are aware of that. And I think that when people are not cognizant of that, they're watching things like the news, they're absorbing, you know, stuff that you see, even on TikTok or whatever. I saw a brilliant video on it last night. A guy was just like, on spiritual TikTok, I don't know if you guys, you know, anybody listening, but there's hashtags, you know, if you follow a certain hashtag, it's all related to the same ideology. And, you know, there's a hashtag which is like spiritual talk or something like that, you know. And this guy was saying, like, have you noticed about some of the things that are coming up on there? And all of it is just programming for fear. And it's like I follow this really good guy called White, I think it's not White Knuckle 33, and he started using the hashtag love based programming, and I was like, I love that, because this is where we need to be. I had this I talked to my partner once about this, and I said, you know, there was I'm probably going to get slaughtered for this online, but whatever. There was a hashtag that was going around on Twitter a couple of years back called Punch Nazi Day, and I was like, wow, what a way to create more hate and suffering, and how to actually really radicalize people by going around punching them and saying that, you know, you're an outlier of society and we don't love you. I said we need to do hashtag Hug a Nazi Day. You know, when we go down and we hug these people and we love them, and we talk to them about everything that we're talking about now, and we love these people into, you know, the collective realm of recognizing that we are all one, and that there is, you know, a lot of these people are probably acting off of, you know, past life shit in this life, or things that have happened to them in this life that have triggered these responses. But I think people are so unaware, I think, at the moment, of how much of fear-based programming is happening. And even me being aware of it, I get caught up on it. So it's like, do you have any kind of advice for people to kind of stay in that sort of love based kind of energy, or what would you recommend to people?
Yeah, what I've been saying for the last couple of months, and I keep getting back to the same thing, is don't give your power away or your energy or attention too much to external sources, because the news or another person, like somebody you follow on YouTube or Instagram, not even me,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna know what is right for you if you're not tuning in with your inner being, if you are not talking to your soul, if you're not going inwards, meditating, or at least going out in nature, being in silence, being with yourself. If you're not doing any of that and you are constantly chasing external information, then you are not going to be balanced.
Mm.
And I forgot what the question was. I'm
how,
what was the
how to kind of
question?
stay in a love energy, to kind of stay there and not get dragged down
Yeah.
into fear.
Yeah. So if you're going to be doing that, you're going to be anxious
Mm.
and you're going to go into a fight or flight
Mm.
response, and you're not going to be able to stay in that balanced, loving, unconditional love state of mind, because you're going to try to survive.
Mm. Yeah,
You're going to
totally.
be in survival mode.
Yeah, I found that I've been triggered quite a lot this year, and I think because of this stuff that I've been dealing with on my, like, in my own mental health and my own stuff, I've found that I've kind of gotten really stuck back in the mud a little bit, down with the lower base energies, where, you know, I've noticed that just I'm going to 0 to 50 really quickly with my emotions, and it's like I can't stabilize myself at points. You know, I was saying to my partner the other day, like, 1 minute I'm just, everything's normal, and then the next minute it's like I feel like I'm almost watching a film, and I'm joking about, like, I'm playing a role. You know, I'm playing this role of, like, playing the role of angry woman, and suddenly oh no, I am angry woman. You know, it's like you're suddenly sort of getting kind of sort of almost tricked by my own biology in a way, I suppose. And it's like, oh, just something that I've really, really important, like you're saying, is spending time in nature, breathing, getting right back to basics. Because I think at the moment we are being triggered a lot wherever you go. It's like it's almost, you know, if you have to go out to the supermarket, or you have to, and for me, you know, I pick up on other people's energy, so I can find that really difficult. If I'm around other people, I find it quite difficult to kind of like hold on to what's not mine, you know. And like sometimes I'm picking up on stuff that somebody else is, and it's like, Christ, you know. And I think because I'm almost in a, because I'm in a weakened state because of the stuff that I'm going through personally, and then I go to the supermarket or I go somewhere where there's people, and it's like they're all just like almost like black clouds, and you go near them and it's like, oh, there's some of it's on you, and I'm trying to get it off, and by the time I get back I'm like, and it's I mean, do you suffer from that? I mean, I suppose it's very difficult. I mean, normally I can control my energy, I can control that stuff, but I think that because of
it's been more challenging, definitely. And sometimes like I'll have ups and downs where I'm not meditating as often as I should. I'm not clearing my energy. But then, of course, when I notice that I'm out of balance, because that's the good thing, we are on this spiritual journey, so we can tell when we are not in balance.
Oh, yeah.
And then we are like, okay, we have to get back into balance. Then I start meditating again. I start praying. I start using my clearing statements with Archangel Michael. I call in my dragon guide to clear my energy. I call in all kinds of ascended masters, the violet flame, Saint Germain. That's a good one to work with to transmute energy. And just say something. It doesn't have to be some kind of fancy protocol. You can just say, Archangel Michael, Saint Germain, please clear, release, delete, transmute any energy that does not belong to me and that isn't serving me. Thank you. Just say something like that and just breathe in, breathe out, and you see the excess energy that isn't yours just leaving. It's leaving your field. You just imagine that, and that it's just like that because you're saying it. That's all you need to do. It happens because you're commanding it to happen. And you are the boss of your energy, so that's what you do. And it's simple, and if you do that, just like you get out of the store, you get in your car, just say, okay, please clear, release, delete, transmute, anything that doesn't belong to me now. And you breathe out and it's gone.
I find like, yeah, I mean, this year's been beautiful because I think it's the remembrance for me sometimes that I get slack on my own healing, and that kind of comes, I mean, obviously that comes partly because I'm working with other people, you know, and because I'm focusing on them, and then I'm so sort of focused on that I'm busy, and then I can kind of forget, hang on a minute, you know. And it's interesting because, again, it's the stuff that I teach my my clients. You can't serve other people from an empty well, you know, and I need to make sure my well is full. And but it's been, you know, I think because there's been, and I'm making excuses, it's like, oh, but this has been happening and that's been happening and I've had this going on, and I'm making excuses. But I mean, recently I'm like, whew, I found that my energy's been up and down all over the bloody shop, and I'm kind of like, okay, get back to basics. Are you sleeping? Are you eating? What are you eating? What are you doing? You know, getting out in nature. This weekend I went to, I just got back yesterday from Hereford, which is a nice sort of place on the border of Wales in England. And then the weekend I went down to Cornwall, which is just absolutely stunning. It's like the Riviera of England, and spent time out on the beach. And I was sitting on the beach and breathing, and you know, I think the breath is really important. I think like what you're saying about something that's really, really easy, like if there's people watching and you're thinking, I'm suffering and I don't know what to do and everything seems really difficult, because sometimes, you know, I know with my clients that I'm working with, that sometimes even just saying to them, like, go and exercise or go and walk, or, you know, sometimes people who are in the storm and it's very difficult for them to go for a walk or just to get outside, even something simple like that, is too much. You know, it's too much.
Mm.
And I think that something that's really, you know, to do that thing is to think about the breath. And that is such a beautiful and easy place to start. And I think of it like the breath is your anchor. It will bring you back down to where we are. And I think a lot of the time we're all kind of running around and we're not breathing properly. And I think just if you're suffering, like, you know, and like something, when you were just talking, I was like, yeah, just, you know, take a really deep breath, just breathe in. And I like to do this thing of kind of experiencing, you know, breathing in the white light. And when you breathe out, you can see like blowing out, you know, like I like to do it, which is like a, I don't know if anybody's ever done shamanic healing or anything. A lot of times the shamans will pull things out of you and they'll blow it away. And I think for me, when I work with those people, with shamans, I was like, "Cool, I like that. I like that." So I do a lot of that, like breathing in and then out, get rid of the stuff that you don't want. And I think that for people who are finding maybe some of the other stuff of, like, you know, it, like you say, if you're in the storm, just remembering sometimes to clear your energy can get you forget it. You know, and you're like, oh God, you know, I can't eat properly or to go to sleep or to do things. I think sometimes in the storm, just think, okay, breathe, just breathe, and just keep focusing on the breath. And that can be your active meditation wherever you are. You know, you can go and do that, go and sit in a toilet stool at work or whatever, and just breathe, and it just clears
And just
out.
drinking enough water too. Drinking enough water.
Oh God.
Because when we are stressed, yeah, I have my bottle here.
I can't drink enough. I'm like, just, I can't get enough water in the moment. I'm thirsty all the time. I don't know if
Yeah, because we need, the thing is, water carries memory. But I've also been receiving a lot of downloads about the importance and spirituality of water. Water carries a lot of fifth dimensional codes and activations. So if we're not drinking enough water, then we are not recycling our energy. We're not renewing our energy physically or mentally, spiritually. And if you drink enough water and you are meditating, what happens is, that's something that came to me, and I'm putting all that in a new course that I'm going to be offering sometime in the future. If you meditate, right after you meditate and you drink a bunch of water, all the stuff that came through during meditation, you are basically putting that in your body because it's in your energy field. And by drinking water, you're going to let your body absorb all the information.
Yeah.
And if you don't properly ground in all the information by drinking water or something, it's going to just like fade away again. And the effect of the meditation isn't going to stick as long as if you get out of meditation and then take care of your body and drink water.
Completely. Like I found that, you know, my path is in witchcraft and a lot of kind of working with nature. And I find that, you know, we've had some amazing thunderstorms over here. You know, we've had some beautiful rainstorms. Getting down, like going to the beach, and, you know, if you can go and drive somewhere to the coastline and sit with the water. You know, I find that the beach is a very cleansing place. The sea is a very cleansing place for me. It brings me back to a balance and a ground zero that sometimes in the suburban areas or things like that, I find difficult and not able to achieve as easily. You know, and I think that we have got a society where, you know, and I like you say, people are waking up now. People are seeing that they're slaves to something that they never signed up to. That you know, everything that they have been fed as a collective and society is broken and is not helpful. Is not what we should be doing. And I think that it's very interesting as the people. You know, I've seen a lot of people's shifts this year. And to see people waking up is a really, really enjoyable experience, particularly when, you know, when I was sort of 17 or something and I had awakened, and then you're like, there is no place for me here. You know, there's, you know, you look across, I can remember when I was about 17 looking for the utopia that I was supposed to live in, and it didn't exist anywhere. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be here. Can I go back home? Yeah, like I'm in the wrong place, you know. And obviously, you know, I'm not in the wrong place. Part of the mission is to be here for this. But it's very difficult. I mean, I find, I mean, I know that you, I mean, do you have a normal job, Deborah? Were you just at home doing your non-normal jobs? I use inverted commas.
Well, right now I'm working towards completely being self-employed, but I'm working towards it, but it's not quite there yet. But I know that it's not going to be long before I'm able to completely work from home.
Mm.
And but I'm also not putting too much pressure on it because I know that it'll all unfold the way it's supposed to unfold.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't really have to deal with people, so because I could never do like an office job. I know if I do an office job, I'll just be drained because I'm actually a kindergarten teacher, and I was a teacher for about a year. I actually worked in a school, and I had to stop because I was too. But I was still younger, and I hadn't learned yet how to shield my own energy and not absorb all these other people's energies.
Mm.
And so, and it was also in like a problem area, a lot of poverty. So all these children brought all this stuff to school, and I was absorbing it like a sponge,
Yeah.
taking it home. And then I got depressed, and I'm like, why am I so drained? Why? And it's because all these children had all this stuff with them, and I was taking it on as my stuff.
Yeah, we have very similar stories there. I mean, I still teach, and I again also worked with very difficult students at points. I'm starting working in a different department in September. So I'm going to be teaching music, which is a whole different ball game to working with kind of disenfranchised kids. But like you say, I mean, when I was sort of 17, I just was like, oh Christ, like I'm in the wrong place. Somebody's made a terrible mistake up there. There's been an administration error. I've been put on the wrong planet. You know, and
Oh, I've always felt like that when I was a child. I remember kindergarten was okay, but then I started elementary school in this super strict Catholic school. I had to wear a uniform, and I remember my mom, she just dropped me off there, and I didn't know anyone, and I was like, where am I?
yeah,
I'm not supposed to be here.
no.
I'm not supposed to be
Oh,
here.
I felt
And
it so
yeah.
much, and it's this feeling of like, you know, oh, like home is not here, and that can be really difficult. I mean, I don't. I mean, I find a lot of. I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate that we have this friendship that sort of transverses time zones and countries and things. I mean, thank God for the internet, because I don't know how I would have survived, actually, to be honest, because I'm not there's not many people in my life that are where we are, and I think you're further ahead than I am, which I find really nice, because that can give me some level of mentorship that I don't find anywhere else. And like, obviously sometimes this year I've kind of messaged you, been like, I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know if I'm having a nervous breakdown or if this thing is happening. And I think that's something that I can find quite difficult at points, because I've struggled a lot with my mental health. When I was sort of about 15, I had a nervous breakdown. I started to have really severe hallucinations from stress, and I felt like I was losing my mind, you know. And I think that was one of my greatest fears that I'm always fighting with, is trying to work out what is, well, I suppose you can't really work out, but sometimes always the fear of when stuff starts to happen, is the collective experiencing this, or am I losing my mind? And this is something I've had to deal with as a fear. I mean, I will come and have a session with you. I know we talked about it, but this year's been crazy, but that I'd love to sort of see, because I'm sure at some point that has been in my past, somewhere in my past lives, that I was either, I mean, I don't know. There's something there. I know it's there. I don't know what it is. But there's something there that is this very, very strong fear of losing my mind and going mad. And that resonates very deeply within me. And then sometimes it's like, if you haven't got somebody else who's with the collective energy to be able to go to them and say, you know, when you're experiencing this on your own, and a lot of people around you are very like normal, and what, you know, asleep, whatever phrase you would want to, you know,
Then
say.
you're gonna feel like you're the crazy
Yeah,
one.
fully
Yeah.
tapped into the 3D, and you say to somebody like, "Oh, are you experiencing this?" Or like, "What the hell are you talking about?" It's a game. You're
Mm-hmm.
always an outlier on everything, and it's funny because I said to you sent me a message saying about what you were experiencing. It's about what you were saying about the shining the light on, you know, the underneath the rock and all the
Mm-hmm.
bugs scarper, you know. And I sent that to, because I've been saying about this to my partner, and I took a screenshot. Who don't hate me, but took a screenshot of what you'd said about that, and I said, it's not just me. This is this is a spiritual thing.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a Laura's mad thing. This is a spiritual thing. But I mean, and we
Yeah.
spoke about this. You know, I asked you about, you know, how whether you had that kind of collective in your life, in actual practicality, of people sort of surrounding you, so you don't feel so alone. And I think that this year, because I mean, I think there's something interesting about the lockdown is actually it stopped me having contact with people that maybe are on the same wavelength, because I've been isolated in my home with people who are not tapped in. That has created yet another layer of difficulty for me, because suddenly you know, it's like you're the only light in the darkness, and you start to kind of almost think, well, that there's something, I don't know, I started to kind of almost question my own self a lot, you know. Am I just mad? You know, am I just mad? Am I the only thing? And I think that's something that I've been going through this year that's been quite difficult at points.
But the thing is, people like I still have moments like that too, but I've also learned to just completely have faith.
Mm.
And when I have these moments, like, okay, maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe this is it. Maybe I'm schizophrenic. Maybe all these spirit guides are just in my head. But of course, then I get these synchronicities, I get signs, because then I just completely throw myself at spirit.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, show me that all of this is real. Show me that I am still on the right path.
Yeah.
Show me that I should have faith. Show me, and then the signs come. When you ask, the universe provides.
Yeah.
When you, it's like, who says that? Abraham Hicks, ask and
Yes,
it is
yeah.
given.
Asking it's good.
So you have to, yeah. And then the signs come, the synchronicities come, you get confirmation. But people forget that they have to ask their spirit guides, because they will not, like, they're going to respect your free will. So if you don't ask for help, they are going to think that you don't want help.
Oh, I'm getting like goose pimples all over there when you're saying that. I mean, I was listening to something yesterday, and it was like, you know, what you were saying. And I find what's really odd is actually, because I'm quite sort of anti-social media, really. But one of the great sort of like moments for this year has been social media, like Instagram. TikTok has been a lifesaver. I can't even imagine that. Just if somebody said to me, yeah, TikTok is going to be the thing that stops you losing your mind, I would be like, what the hell? Because although there is a lot of kind of fear-based kind of crap on there, if you find the right people, holy moly, you know, the guy that I've been talking about, the White Knuckle 33, he's so up here, and it's very positive and very beautiful and very lovely. And it was a weird sort of thing that he'd put up something saying, and it was like no hashtags or anything. It ended up, you know, there's a For You page if people don't use TikTok, where it's like just stuff that isn't people that you follow kind of, you know, pops up. And I think that I think this is right. He put up a thing saying like, do you know me? Do you recognize me? If I'm on your For You page, this is because it's meant to be. And I was like, I recognize you. Like, not his face, not his incarnation. I recognize you. And I was like, yes, mate, I see you. I know you. And we have known each other. And he was like, beautiful, beautiful. And then he started to follow, he came and checked on my page, watched some of the stuff I was watching. And then he was like, I said about some stuff about the process of things that were going on. And he was like, do you see what's happening? And I was like, yeah, I see what's happening. And he was like, okay, good. Yeah, you see the good? And I'm like, yeah. So we've ended up having this little kind of like TikTok friendship now. And we follow him on Instagram, and we talk and stuff. And there's this, I would not have thought, if somebody had said to me that through the, but I mean, I should have done really, because Aquarius is also the leader of technology. Part of Aquarian energy, that ideology, is about being a leader, a thought leader, and often using technologies to progress and create and help, you know, push on the agenda for the collective. So really, I should have been aware of that. But for me, I've always sort of looked at the way that social media is quite badly used, you know, and it's some of the sort of toxicity of social media. But this year, it's been a godsend. You know, how would I have been able to talk to you if I hadn't, if we didn't do this? You know, even now, it's like with all this stuff, it's created this.
Yeah, that's the thing with the social media. You have to just find a healthy balance and find how you can use it in your advantage.
Totally. And I think that finding the right people. I don't know whether I finished the thought about the guy about the fear-based programming, but there was I mean, you're on TikTok, so I don't know whether you've sort of seen it on sort of Spiritual Talk, but there's a lot of, like, you know, reptilian agenda that's
like that one video you sent me. You sent me this video, and I had seen it before. This lady saying, "This is what raw looks like."
Oh Christ, I know. I was like, she was like,
and you sent me that video. I'm like, yeah.
I was like,
that's what I mean with people going to external sources for information and not going within.
Yeah.
That is not at all what raw looks like.
No.
The raw collective is connected to Sirius, to the Sirius star system, which is a very high vibrational frequency. I'm gonna move this phone. Okay, if this is what Sirius looks like. See this?
Yes. Yeah. Light.
They are high vibrational, they are positive, and they are all about spiritual sovereignty. And what was she saying, like the 36th dimension or something that doesn't even exist. That doesn't even exist.
I mean, what I find quite interesting is, like, somebody put up this thing yesterday about Demi Lovato has done a podcast called 4D, and I'm like, oh God. You know, it's like, no, what are you doing? Like, Demi Lovato, bless her heart, is so not in the 4D or aware of what's going on. And the problem is like what you say about, be careful about who you create as your guru, because people are, and you know, talking about the Bible about, you know, false idols and worshipping things exterior to yourself. What is it that you are putting as your teacher? Because I don't want to be it. You don't want to be it. What I do with my clients is I don't say, I want my clients to leave me at some point, right? So we do the work, and like with teaching, you know, you put up the scaffolding and you build them up. Once they're strong and they're aware of what they're doing, you take the scaffolding down, you see if they still stand, and then you move on. You know, they're not supposed to stay with you for life. I have clients that maybe come back as 6 months, 9 months, a year, and we check, we reposition ourselves at points, we look at where we're going, because that, you know, I say to my clients, that 1 degree difference here will be 40 degrees there. And so it's like, but I'm not here as your guru. I'm not here as my client's guru. I'm not here as somebody who is your priest, your you know, whatever, all that crap. I mean, this is the problem with religion, is that they say, come talk to me and you can talk to God. No, you don't need a reverend or a father or a pastor or a priest or
no. I literally say that in my course. Yeah, I have this free course online, and I literally in my course say you don't need a middleman to speak to source energy.
No, you don't.
You don't need, and that's also a past life wound. That's a cultural wound that we have in our just subconscious programming that we can overwrite. So we have to learn to overwrite. We don't need the middleman. The middleman can be a priest, but the middleman can also be the news.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
No, we don't. And I think that, you know, I created a video recently which was called Take Back Your Sovereignty. And I've been doing some sort of shorts on my YouTube channel about some of these things. So one was like, you're a slave, and challenging some of the stuff. And I found it quite interesting because I had a couple of clients being like, are you okay? You're not so positive. And I'm like, yeah, okay, positivity has its place, but we also have to recognize, you know, sometimes you have to see the reality of what's going on to be able to kind of conquer it in a way. It's like sometimes, you know, staying in a mindset of not seeing it. I think that that is again something that people have kind of gotten trapped into about toxic positivity, of like only working with half of yourself. You know, we were talking about shadow work to begin with. You know, there is like the collective, there's like the global shadow as well that we all need to kind of be aware of, to go, well, what is, like, how do you know the light without knowing the dark? I mean, the 3Ds of duality, we need the duality to be able to see where we're going and what we're supposed to be going towards. So sometimes I think that within kind of self-help spiritual realms, there is this kind of toxic positivity idea that's kind of pushed, that is like, don't even recognize that there's anything. And it's a very difficult balance, I think, sometimes, because yes, you're trying to, it's like you need to see the darkness to see what we're not doing, but don't stare at it so long that you're giving it all of your energy and all of your power. And I think for a lot of people, that's a very difficult tightrope to walk, of trying to stay within an area, you know, of positivity and of progression, and of pushing forward for the collective. But also having to sometimes recognize some of this really bad stuff that is going on. So like you say, you know, at the moment, the light is being shined on some really, really disgusting, toxic stuff that is going on in the collective 3D. And us going, oh, it's not happening, isn't going to stop it from happening. And it also isn't going to help us not to be it or not to feed it. I mean, what would you say about that? Because it is a really difficult thing, where, because I find a lot of the time, if you, with that sort of spiritual talk, and we're talking about, you know, reptilian agendas and all this kind of very low base energy stuff that people experience, they get so into it, you know, it's like QAnon sort of stuff. They're so into it that all we're doing is feeding it instead of moving away from it. What would you recommend for walking that path?
Yeah, you have the two extremes. You have on the one side, you have the people that are all toxic positivity. Oh, let's all just be happy all the time,
Yeah.
and love and light, and blah blah blah. We're not gonna look at all that. So you have those people, but then you have the people that are the other end of the spectrum, that are like, we have to look at it, we have to look at it, we have to look at only that, because that's the only way we're going to solve it, if we look at it. But then you're unbalanced. Both of those groups are out of balance. So the best thing to do, but this is very difficult for most people, because you have to have an enormous amount of faith in God.
Yeah.
And when I say God, I mean source energy, creator, creative source. That is God. So God is not connected to Christianity. God is just the creator of all that is, of you, of me, and you are always taken care of by God. It doesn't matter what it looks like, how chaotic it is, you are always connected to source energy. Always. That connection can never be broken. So always knowing that you are always protected, and that you are always taken care of, and that you can look at the stuff that's going on, but you know that it doesn't have to determine what your life looks like. You can see that it's happening, you can be aware of it, and then you can choose to stay in a high vibration, in alignment with source energy, and connect every day. Connect by meditating, by praying, by walking. Focus on some good things.
Yes.
And try to find a balance. Try to find a balance. You see the stuff that's going on, but also try to find positive things about life. Try to find things that are worth living for. Don't be all toxic positivity. Oh, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing dark going on, but also don't focus on it too much. Don't set up your tent and camp there. Don't do that. Just look at it and then say, okay, this is happening. I cannot do anything about this right now. I know it's going on. All I can do is take care of my life, and my neighbor can take care of his life, and my grandma can take care of her life, and all these people together can raise their vibration. And if we do that today, tomorrow, next week, next year, the world is going to look different.
I think that what you say there about not setting up camp there, I mean, I think that says all really. I mean, how much of your sort of day do you, you know, what is, if we were thinking about creating a routine, an ideal routine for people to stay in their most empowered place and staying in connection, what would you recommend to people?
In the morning when you wake up, don't immediately, the first thing you do when you wake up is don't go on Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the first hour after waking up is when you program your subconscious mind. And if you immediately go and let somebody else program it for you,
Yeah.
then that is going to set the tone for the rest of the day.
Completely. I mean, I was just in HuffPost talking about, and the one tip that I said was like, don't do the morning scroll. Don't do it. Don't do it, because what you're doing is kind of creating, allowing something else, an exterior third party, to set your energy for the day. And I think it's one of the most, I think for me as somebody self-employed, that's actually quite a difficult thing to not do, because often I'll wake up and I'll have emails from clients or I have things, and there's that feeling of like, you know, oh, I've got to get back to people, I've got to, and there's that sense of urgency to things. And I think that it's sometimes reminding yourself that the most urgent and important thing is your energy, not giving your energy to other people, if that sort of makes sense. So you know, I find that quite a difficult sort of thing. Sometimes is again remembering to serve your own well, and attend to yourself first. And I think that for me, again, I think because of the way that I was raised, is again challenging all of those kind of 3D programming beliefs, ideologies on a consistent basis. I mean, what kind of how long do you meditate for? What you know, when do you think about diet and things like that? I saw somebody the other day on TikTok saying it doesn't matter if you eat meat, and I was kind of like, well, I don't think that's a very good thing to take in. What are your feelings about sort of diet and things like that?
Yeah, I covered that a little bit in my course. Like with meditation, you have to also try to really be in tune with how you feel, because we have periods of integration and we have periods of where we absorb things. And when we have periods of integration, we are receiving a lot of downloads. And most people aren't aware of when they have periods of integration. They are not in tune with their energy body like that. But when I have periods of integrating a lot of information, my mind can't meditate for 45 minutes at a time. I can't do it. I'll be meditating for 10 minutes and then I'm thinking about dinner, or I'm thinking about laundry or something. So I'm not going to force myself, but then I will try to meditate 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes when the baby naps or something, and 10 minutes before bed.
Yeah, I mean,
I try to do it like that.
I've had a year like that. You know, I was told by my doctor the other day, you need to lie down in a dark room for 20 minutes at least every day, Laura, because like my stress levels are up here at the moment because of all the stuff that, you know, that box that got opened, and it's been a lot to deal with. It's been very traumatic, and I'm not going to cry as well. That's going to be a good one if we both end up crying. But you know, I think that it has been very traumatic, and sometimes I think that, you know, talking about that thing of not getting too much into the darkness and the deepness of it, sometimes when you do start shadow work and you end up having to deal with stuff that's very traumatic and difficult to deal with, you do end up kind of rolling in the mud, and then you think, oh God, you know, I'm covered in mud now, and I need to somehow kind of bring it back up. But unfortunately, it's like you can't kind of, for me, I find it difficult when this sort of stuff is going on and attempting to kind of battle some stuff, and then also having, like, you know, huge energies going on that you're trying to integrate into your life, all of this other stuff that's coming in, and it's like, no wonder I'm bloody tired, because it's like you're trying to do, I'm doing 3D work, I'm doing working with other people, I'm doing stuff that's happened in this life, and I'm also trying to work on the collective energy for everyone, as well as for myself, as well as attempting to stay on as high a vibration as I can for the other people that rely on me. And that's a lot. It's an awful lot. And I think, like you said, you know, at the moment, I'm not able to meditate for very long. And this is when I sort of say, you know, get back to basics, you know, focus on the breath, you know, it's easy to breathe. You know, I eat plant-based mostly. You know, I don't eat any meat ever. And I wouldn't, because that's my personal choice. I feel like it's a really not good thing for energy. I think maybe if you were, ironically and interestingly, if you were hunting and you were out in the wild doing organic, you know, that sort of grass-fed kind of out in wild sort of thing, I think then maybe that's a bit different. But, you know, the stuff factory farmed and stuff over here is toxic as hell. I wouldn't want to eat that, and I wouldn't think it would be good food for anybody. Certainly not to be part of that, you know, cycle of abuse as well. I think, you know, but again, each to their own, I think, with that. And you, again, like you say, check in with your own self. You know, what does your higher self say? What do your spiritual guides say? What is your feeling? And I think, you know, how would you, I know you've got this course, I need to get hold of it because I'm interested to see what it was. I think I went onto your website the other day and I was like, oh, I need to see what Deborah thinks about things. But I think that sometimes how would you advise somebody to be able to recognize what is your ego and what is your higher self talking? How would you recommend with that?
Yeah, the way we're gonna have to probably wrap it up after this because Instagram is gonna kick us off. I think around like the hour mark, it kicks you off of there. No, I put that in my course. I said you're gonna have to train yourself at recognizing what is your intuition and what is your ego. And at first, that's not easy because you have never been taught how to recognize your intuition. And then you can use little tips and tricks at like little tricks. See, I can't talk anymore. Anyway, I didn't sleep enough. So yeah, little tricks to determine what is your intuition. And you can do that. One of those tricks is use the green light and the red light metaphor. So you ask yourself a question, or you like imagine a scenario, something that you would like an answer about. Like, okay, this friend called me and wants to hang out. I'm not sure how I feel about this, if this is a good idea or not. And then you just tell your higher self, if this is a good idea, then show me a green traffic light. If this is a bad idea, show me a red traffic light. And just close your eyes and see what pops up. Don't overthink it. Just see what comes up immediately. And the first thing is going to be your intuition. And if you start overthinking anything that takes longer than 1 second is going to be your ego.
Yeah. Oh, I say the same thing. I'm always like, right, okay, that little voice that crops up first. If I say, am I, and it goes something, and then you're like, then the second voice that goes, you're not that, what are you on about? You know, that one that's often the bully or is the arrogant one.
Yeah,
the second one
that's
that
the
pops
ego.
up, yeah, that's your ego. Don't listen to that one. And I think that I try to teach my my clients about using that little voice. The first little voice is always the one. And I think that sometimes interesting as well is that you get random downloads. For me, I get a lot of downloads when I'm brushing my teeth. You know, I'm brushing my teeth and I'm just thinking about brushing my teeth, and then poof, something in your brain. And you're like, oh, wow, where did that come from? Or driving or doing something that's very sort of monotonous, because it's, again, you're going back into that kind of meditative state.
Yeah, because you're in the present moment.
Yeah, and it's trying to stay within that as much as you possibly can to, you know, to be able to recognize the quiet voice, to be able to recognize what is your higher sense of self, and to be able to hear what the collective downloads are. And I think that, you know, going back to talking about stepping away from normal society as much as you can is really, really important, because, you know, the more that, you know, I say to my partner, he's a consumer, you know, all he's doing is pouring stuff into him from the exterior.
Yeah.
You know, social media, TV, newspapers, articles, websites, and it's like, as much and perfect as having this is, you know, having the mobile phones and things and smartphones is wonderful, but you're also having stuff poured into you all the time, and you're not in control of those things that are being poured into you. So you have to be really careful about what it is that you're allowing into your sphere and into your energy. And I think that, you know, something that I was literally going to post a video this morning saying, stop watching the news. It's the first thing I say to people: stop watching the news. Stop consuming stuff that is consuming you, and is consuming your energy, and is consuming your positivity and your joy and your light. And again, the same thing where people now, you know, when this, you know, the darkness is being shown, there's a sort of danger of wanting to stare at it, you know, and go into it and look into it and see where it, you know, where did it start and where's it going to end? And it's like, you know, where attention goes, energy flows. You know, be very careful about what you're looking at, what you're giving your energy to, whatever that may be, whether it's, you know, the lockdown, or whether it's reptilian agendas, or whatever it is that you're looking at. You know, actually, the more that you look at it, I was watching this thing. There's a load of stuff about like you know, what are they called? Like the Wendigos of Appalachia and, you know, Native American ideology. And they say, if you hear it, don't look at it. You know, if it calls your name, don't look at it, you know. And I think that that's quite an interesting kind of thing that I think is kind of, I've seen quite a lot on TikTok recently, is just, yeah, stop looking at the thing. Okay, we know it's there, but we don't need to acknowledge it to the point where it thinks it's important, because it's not. And I'm in control. But the more I look at it, and the more that I pay attention to it, the more that I give my energy to it, the realer that's going to be, because you're feeding it. And I think that that's really important, because a lot of people aren't really aware, again, of how potent they are, and that you are in effect a battery. And what you want to put yourself in is the thing that's going, is the thing that's working. So we don't want to put loads of batteries into the stuff we don't want, you know. And I think that hopefully that's a good kind of metaphor that people can kind of grasp and think about. Oh yeah, what am I looking at? You know, things like vaccine passports. And you know, I was thinking about something last night about the Book of Revelation. Is that programming? You know, are you being programmed for what is wanted as a, you know, from the agenda, as opposed to actually, because it hasn't happened yet. You know, there is every opportunity and everything in existence, in effect, that could happen. We don't know where that's going to go, but I mean, we do know where it's going to go, but we don't. But if that makes sense. And I think sometimes people are seeing what's going on, particularly, you know, very entrenched Christian people are seeing what's going on at the moment, and they're like, the Book of Revelation is coming to fruition. But is it going to come to fruition because you're doing that, as opposed to, do you see what I mean? It goes back to that kind of being very aware about the law of attraction, about what it is that we're bringing into the collective and what we're thinking about. So, and I think that is something I've noticed very much, just sort of having, you know, seeing Christian people being very frightened at the moment, because they feel like the Book of Revelation is coming to fruition. You know, a lot of people asking about, is the vaccine the mark of the beast and things like that, you know, and people getting very frightened about that. I mean, we've talked about Jesus a little bit, but and obviously we need to finish up. But I mean, do you have what would your final words of advice be, I suppose, for people at the moment, sort of feeling fear and seeing the darkness that's kind of coming through? I mean, what would mine is, don't look at it, don't feed it. But
if there's one thing that the real Jesus, not the one from the Bible that we all know, but from the real Gnostic Gospels, the actual story of Jesus and Mary Magdalene and all his followers, and they were not just the 12 apostles, they were many, many more, and a lot of women followers. And he always kept telling people that you are like me, we are the same. And if there's one thing that he would do, and that he is doing, because people are connecting to Yeshua, which is his real name, because that carries activations too, using his actual name, Yeshua,
Yeshua.
carries activations. And if we remember that that's like, there's a guy, what's his name? Oliver Huntley or something. He's somewhere over there too in the UK. And he's all about Avalon and the energies of Christ and Mary Magdalene, that they are coming back now. And it's all about, what was the question again?
What would your advice be for people to kind of avoid going into the negative too much, but continue to connect?
Okay, yeah. That when he was facing his death, he knew that, well, that there's this book, Anna, Grandmother of Jesus, and it talks about Jesus's entire life story, Yeshua's story, that he knew why he was being born. He knew what his mission was. He knew that he would die at the cross, but he also knew that he was always one with God.
Yeah.
He was never separate from God.
No.
He came in as being one with God. He lived as being one with God, and he would leave as being one with God always. That is the one thing in life. If you have constant faith in your connection with Creator, that you are here as a piece of Creator, then you don't ever have to be scared. You don't ever have to worry about what is happening.
No.
Because you are always protected. You are always sovereign. You are always going to be fine.
It's beautiful. I say it's like a finger.
But that's not a very easy thing to do. You have to kind of recondition your mind, because we've been conditioned to listen to other people and give our power away.
Yeah, yeah. And because we live in a society that, you know, embellishes and pushes narcissism, of self-gazing, of being, you know, the lead role in your own play, you know, on Instagram and all these other things that we do, you know, it pushes these kind of ideas and agendas that don't serve us and don't serve the collective. And I think that's really the overarching theme for this whole day, for this whole conversation, is be careful what you give your energy to, be careful who you give your energy to, and remember that you have a direct line. I mean, you had put it like a telephone line. You know, you have a direct line, telephone line to God, which I think Dolores Cannon, certainly, I think she talked about the phone line to God. I know Abraham Hicks did as well. You know, which is some good names to get started with if you want it, if you're interested in this kind of spiritualism. But yeah, being very careful about what you're giving your energy over to. And preserve that energy by doing some of the things that you've recommended, you know, meditation, getting outside, thinking about water, all of these kind of really, really, really important things that will help to keep you where you are supposed to be. And remember that you don't need a guru, because you have your own direct line to source energy. Yeah, what a beautiful place to end it. Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, on that note, we should probably end it before, let's see, we've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes, because Instagram, like, they kick you off if you, like, talk for too long. I've had that happen once.
So rude.
So that would be a shame.
Well, it's been really lovely to talk to you. I think I feel like I could do this with you every week.
Yeah, it's nice to connect to people that are on the same wavelength, because you can, like, get confirmation that you're not losing your mind, and that this is what spiritual awakening looks like. This is Earth we're ascending. This is an ascension cycle. We are going through a planetary ascension, and this is what it feels like and looks like. But it's always good to, like, talk to somebody else to see how they're experiencing all of this
madness. It's like,
yeah, we just have to stay connected to ourselves and source energy, and that's, yeah, because I'm going to be making a post about that too, because something came to me, like, when was it, a few days ago, about a rock. There's a rock in the sand, and it's just there, and it's always just chilling right there, and all the stuff around it is moving around. Seasons are changing, all the stuff is changing. This rock is always just right there, and it's always secure, and it knows that it is fine. And yeah, it's not easy. It's because that's a big test too. That's one of the biggest spiritual tests, knowing that you are always safe.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I always sort of liken it to the hand, you know, your finger on the hand of God. And we get sort of really like, oh, I'm just a finger on my own. It's like, no, you're on the hand of God. Don't worry. Don't worry. I know as a finger, you're like, I'm just a finger. I'm a finger on my own. But the finger is attached to the hand of God, which is connected to the whole galactic bloody everybody and everything. And I think the more that we can remember that and the more we can focus on that, the easier it will be. And certainly, I mean, as I've said many times in this, I appreciate you hugely, because it means I have somebody that I can tap in with and go, right, am I losing my shit, or is this going on? And I think, you know, if you're somebody that is awakening or is going through this spiritual kind of, or you're going through the, you know, dark night of the soul, or you're going through any of this stuff at the moment, you know, get in touch. I know your DMs are open, my DMs are open. You know, people, please comment, please message, please send us something, because I think for me, something that's been really helpful has been having somebody that I can just check in with. And I think I can't speak for you, but I know that previously you've often, you know, in our podcast, you said DMs are open. But, you know, I think that if you're suffering, I think certainly find somebody that you feel connected to, that you feel is speaking the thing that you resonate with deeply, with that first voice, not the second one, and reach out to them, because it can be very cathartic and very helpful to keep your own energy where it needs to be. And I say it again, I really appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you do. I appreciate our friendship and the relationship that we have, and I'm very, very thankful for you, because I've had a difficult time at points, and this year you've helped me reset my energy and come back to where I'm supposed to be, rather than going off on this mad tangent of what the hell is going on. So and I know that, you know, I'm sure that you can be that light for many other people, you know, with the free course that you offer, and it talks about kind of how to connect to people, and yeah, so thank you for being in my life.
Well, thank you for being in my life, because I appreciate your friendship too, and the fact that we can talk and that we know what's going on, that we can just talk openly about this stuff, and that we have somebody, that just gets it, somebody else that gets it.
Yeah, thankful, very thankful. But I think we'll have to do another podcast at some point for sure. I think, you know,
we'll always have stuff to talk about, and things always keep on changing and shifting, and there's always going to be more to discuss and talk about.
Completely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
We're gonna have to wrap it up, because I don't want to get kicked off.
No.
So yeah, for anyone who's watching this on replay, if you want to talk, you can message Laura, you can message myself, and we have a lot of stuff on YouTube, on IGTV here too. We have content, we have videos. Just go and see what we have up there. Yeah, because you're not going crazy, you're just awakening.
The overarching message from this, you're not going crazy, you're awakening.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just in an ascension cycle, and you decided to incarnate during a planetary ascension. So all the stuff that you were meant to believe is not real. So you're kind of just awakening to the reality of life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, it was nice talking to you, and we will do this again very soon.
I'll speak to you soon. Take care of yourself. Bye, everyone.